like to send an early morning shout out to all of our brothers and sisters that are in social media land. To all of my Israelite brothers, those that are near, those that are far off. That is a combination of all of my Negroid brothers, be it whether they're in Christianity, Islam, Israelite heritage. Shouts out to all of you on this morning. This is indeed a great day to be alive. It is a day that we should find a way to rejoice and be glad in it. And we're going to come on here today with something. Everything that we do is going to be pertaining to real life and our living our lives up against one another, trying to exemplify what it means to be righteous and walk circumspectly in this world. We did the video dealing with truth the last time that we were gathered on social media to show how all people don't see things the same way. And I had made the statement on that day that my life would begin new. From the standpoint that I was up at 3:30 in the morning with my wife and refused to go back to sleep, just said that my day gonna take off running from there. And so it was a great day. It was a very great day, a productive day of work, you know what I mean? But little did I know that my life would literally be changed, because later on that evening, after I got through working, did our little normal routine, went down there and stopped and talked to my cousin and hung out with my comrade for a while, and then I came on home and lo and behold, about an hour later after I got home, I got a phone call telling me that my comrade had been murdered right in the alley behind his mama's house. And by that standard, my life has been literally changed, and it'll never be the same forever. Nevertheless, life must go on because death is a part of it. So we want to send up prayers to the Alexander family and the Allen family and all the other families that were impacted by the life of my departed brother, Edmund Earl Alexander, also known as Junior, also known as Edie, also known as Mac Beatty. And he had such a great effect on the people that he come in contact with. And death is never an easy thing. It is always a difficult thing. I want to send prayers and shouts out to anybody else that might be experiencing the loss of their loved one. As we said, death is just a natural part of life, you know. And the Most High ultimately is in control of those things. Peace and blessings be upon you, Tony Wright. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. So I have grieved, and but I refuse to be consumed with grief. So one of the things that transfer us from a place of grief is understanding the Most High's purpose and His will. So I want to go into something on today that will help the brothers and sisters remain conscious of what things are most important while we live our life. Because before I got that phone call, I always looked through Facebook. I scrolled through Facebook, and I seen a post on Facebook. It was a picture of 4 women, and they was dealing with Jacob and his 4 wives, and that was the post. And so, you know, people put these things on here. It was a justification of polygyny, multiple wife scenario, and what is this, how the nation of Israel? Yeah, it is. But just because that's how the nation of Israel came into existence don't mean that the Most High sanctioned it. So we just made an understanding that Jacob only had 1 wife. He chose Rachel. He loved Rachel. Leah was his first wife. He didn't want Leah, never cared for Leah, yet he was tricked into taking Leah. And then the other 2 women were not wives. They were sisters of the younger wife, who was given to her as handmaids from the father. And so we was making these things clear so that they didn't keep adding things as though this was something that that the Most High had done. And just like we said, there is no shortage of things that we can find to fight about. So here come a whole long fight, and even a fight of some big name people start coming on there to defend. And I was just sitting there saying, and right in the middle of that, I get the phone call telling me that my closest person, the person that had been with me from the very beginning, you understand what I'm saying? The person that I know, whatever it is, he got my back, I got his back. I get a phone call that person just left, been murdered in the alley. And then I say to myself, you mean to tell me, where do men find the time to sit around and argue about meaningless things? So we have to realign our focus and readjust our sights, because when you start talking about things like this, you're talking about fleshly things. You're talking about superficial things. Multiple wives is a superficial thing. It's a fleshly thing. You see? We shouldn't be spending on energy dealing with that. And as I told them, hey man, listen, I ain't telling you whether you're right, whether you're wrong. Only thing I'm telling you, don't put God's name on everything. Some things you attribute to your forefathers' account because they done it. It can be clearly seen that they done it. And some things you attribute to the Most High's account. And that was the point that was being made. And so, but at the end of the day, I said this is complete foolishness. So on this morning, we want to redirect our focus and make sure you brothers and sisters don't be getting entangled into no foolishness. You see? No foolishness. Maybe one day in the future, you know what I mean? And we got brothers, and but I refuse to argue with anybody. I refuse to get entangled in that foolishness, you know. Let them have that. I don't care if you want 10 women. Go right ahead. And when you look at the dysfunction of the family of Israel, who could never get it together because they was coming from all of these different places, going into all these different captivities, always constantly up under curses, going into slaveries, locked in holes, hidden in prison houses, beaten down, oppressed, and all of these things. When you look at the things that come out, oh yeah, you might be able to justify it, but I assure you that the circumstances are there for a particular reason. So, but at the end of the day, those are superficial things. What we want to do is we want to focus on the life that God had given us, and we want to use that life that he had given us to the best of our ability. So we're going to come out of the book of Ecclesiastes on this morning, and I hope that some of the brothers and sisters will hang around. It's not going to be a long video, but I guarantee you that it's going to be a very impactful video. So let's dive right into this. Chapter 12 of the book of Ecclesiastes tells us to remember now thy Creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw near, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. What we're to do is we're to remember the Most High during the days of our youth. It means when I still have some strength, when I still have vision, when I still have desire in my heart, when I still have things to reach for. I am to remember my Creator during those times, because he declares, while we remember the Creator in our youth, while the evil days have not come yet. When the evil days come, you will say, I have no pleasure in them. What are the evil days? If God gives a man all of the days of his life, what will cause those days to become evil? Well, when the evil days come, it's attached. You'll know when the evil days are here, because you'll wake up and you'll say, I don't have no pleasure in these days that I'm living. You see, as we are young, we are constantly growing old. And the older we get, the more the evil days approach. Because when the evil days approach us, we're talking about getting old. When we're losing our strength, when we're losing our eyesight, when we're losing our ability, when we have done everything that you can do, when we have chased all of the women that we can chase, when we have went to all the clubs that we can club at, when we have smoked all the drugs, when we have did all of the high signing, when we done wore all of the name brand clothing, when we would put ourselves out there in this world as though we were living a grandstanding life, were we remembering the Creator during that time. Because it's our remembrance of the Creator that will sustain us when the days turn evil. So the preacher is painting a picture to people on the things that are important while we live in our life. And you're stopping your tracks and ask yourself, because everybody that watched these videos is not in the Bible. Everybody that watched these videos is not a Christian, not a Muslim, not an Israelite. Some people that watch these videos don't belong to nobody's church. We have to ask you the question, are you remembering the Most High Heavenly Father during the time of your youth while you still have strength to do things? He said, remember, while the evil days have not come near to you. Because the evil days are coming. And as we continue to read, the preacher is going to make us understand what the evil days are. He said, remember therefore thou thy Creator in the days of your youth, while the evil days have not come, nor the years have drawn near, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. You see, somebody in the nursing home don't have pleasure in the days no more. Somebody who got a terminal illness don't have pleasure in the days no more. Somebody that wakes up with pain in their body every day don't have pleasure in these days no more. Some mother that just lost her child who was supposed to outlive her don't have pleasure in the days anymore. Same with a father who have lost his son. The evil days can come up on us to the point to where we no longer have pleasure in them. And so the Most High is telling us is that as long as we living, for every person that's living, the evil days will come upon you the older we get. So he instructing us to remember our Creator while we still have strength, while we still have a mind to be able to comprehend the scripture, while our eyes can still see the words, where we can be able to read. Even if I'm not a good reader, one day gonna come to where my eyes gonna fade and I ain't even gonna be able to do that. Then I would desire to do things that I once had an opportunity to do and only be left with nothing but sad memories of a lost opportunity to remember my Creator in the days of my youth. He says, one day we shall say, we don't have no pleasure in these days. He says, or remember the Creator while the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain. He paints you another picture. You remember the Creator while the sun and the light and the moon and the stars be not darkened. When we're young, we had the capacity to see all of these things. We can explore all of these things. We can investigate all of these things that the Creator have done. And he's instructing us to do those things while we now have the opportunity. When you go outside and you young and you got the opportunity, you can still see, you can still comprehend. Stop for a minute and remember the Creator, how awesome he is, that he could hang the stars in the sky, how awesome he is, that he can say, let there be light. And from the time that he spoke it until now, light is still oscillating down through the ages, one generation through the next. While the sun and the moon be not darkened, remember the Creator and marvel at the wonderful works that he have created. And give him praise and give him glory. Allow these things to transcend your mind from the place of physical into the place of spiritual, that we might tap into those wonderful things that you have done before the days turn evil. He said, because in the days when the keepers of the house shall tremble, the keepers of the house, the hands are the keepers of the house. when you're young and you're strong, you can do things with your hands, and you can work, and you can do all sorts of things with your hands. Your hands are what's responsible for bringing in finances in order for you to assume the responsibility for your house. Your hands are what cause you to be able to work so that you can feed yourself. He said, but when the days turn evil, those hands that were responsible for keeping the house will now begin to tremble. They won't be able to do the things that they once done. He says, so you remember the Creator during the days of your youth, because during those days I have given you strength to run. But people have the strength to run, and we take the strength that God give us in our youth and we use it in all different angles, but they are self-motivated angles. And many times we do not allow our hands to become hands that are consecrated for the work of the Most High. So he said, but you remember, because the time is coming, that those same hands that were strong, those same hands that could grab something and bench press, those same hands that could thread a needle, those same hands that could do this, he said, one day they're going to tremble. They're not going to even be able to remain steady enough for you to get the most minute things done. He said, and when the strong men shall bow themselves, the strong men represent your legs, because that is what gives strength to the body. And when the strong men start bowing themselves, now you have lost the ability to stand up straight. You have lost the ability to get the full strength out of your body to do things that you once were able to do when you young. When the strong men bow themselves, you lose the ability to run. You lose the ability to stretch. You lose the ability to jump. You lose the ability to do many of the things that cause you to be up. When the strong men start bowing themselves, you lose the ability to walk straight because your balance is off. You need a cane. You need a walker. When the strong men begin to bow themselves, we are talking about the time that the body is going to start deteriorating on a downward spiral, and it will never come back to what it once was. You know that the days are turning evil. And then the grinders shall cease because they are few. Now we start talking about the teeth. You know the days are turning evil. When you used to be able to go to get your teeth fixed at the dentist, and you wake up and you look up and your teeth just fall out on their own. You see, you got one bad tooth after the next, to the point to where every time you turn around, another teeth is pulled, and now I got less teeth. Those things that used to grind up the food source that would strengthen my body can no longer do the work that they were meant to do. The grinders will one day come to a halt because they will cease from being few. I'm a testament to this. I can only chew on one side of my mouth because my teeth. I ain't no stranger to this. I can't see like I used to see. I can't use my body like I used to use it. I can't raise my arms like I used to. My hair done turned white. My eyes are growing dim. My teeth have been falling out. My arms and my strength in my hands don't work like they used to. My legs can no longer do the things that they used to do. And because they can't, the days become evil. But when we have remembered our Creator during the days of our youth, you say like David, you say like Job, though he slay me, yet shall I trust in him. I've been young, but now I'm old. I've never seen the righteous forsaken or his children begging for bread, because I remember the Creator in the days of my youth. I know that weeping will endure for a night, but joy shall come in the morning. I have remembered the Creator during the days of my youth and been filled up to the brim with all of the promises of the Most High, that he will will go off to prepare a place for me, that where he is, I will be also. And in my Father's house, there are many mansions, and he will come back and get me, but he will give me a mansion or a house that's not made by physical hands, but a spiritual house that will never deteriorate. And if we have not remembered our Creator while we're living with the things that are important, then what's going to sustain us when the days turn evil? He said, the grinders shall cease because they are few, and those that look out of windows will be darkened. Those that look out of windows are talking about your eyes. When your eyes start to be darkened, you have a desire to see, you have a desire to see the word, but you can't see the words no matter how hard you try. And you find yourself straining to read something sometimes to the point that you start getting a headache because your eyes are losing vision. They can no longer see the things that they used to be able to see. You get to a point to where you really can't drive. You got to stop driving so much at night because you can't see good. Your vision ain't as good as it once was. When those that look out of the windows will be darkened. The older we get, the more the body will deteriorate. And the more the body deteriorates, the more evil the days become. Because when we can no longer do the things that we once used to be able to do during the time of our youth, those things become evil to us. It becomes frustrating to us that I can't do this, that I don't have nowhere to go, that I don't have no friends. And one at a time, you find all of the people that you've been living your life with start dying off and dropping off. One person at a time, one person at a time. You get one stroke of bad news after the next because you're getting older. You know people are going to continue to die, and it ain't nothing that you can do about it. He said, remember the Creator during the days of your youth before the evil days come, where you will say, I have no pleasure in them. Remember the Creator during the days of your youth before those that keep the house begin to tremble, before the legs that are classified as the strong man can no longer stand on their own without the assistance of canes and walkers. Remember the Creator in your youth before the grinders, your teeth start falling out to where you can't chew anymore and get the right nutrition for your body. Remember your Creator during the days of your youth when you can no longer see the things that you used to be able to see and do the things that you used to be able to do. And the doors shall be shut in the street. Remember your Creator during the days of your youth before the doors are shut in the streets. You remember when you was young, life was full. You was energetic. There was so many things to do. It was not enough hours in the day. But when you get old, you got too many hours in the day because every door in the street is shut. There is no even reason for you as an old person to even be on the street because there is nowhere for you to go. Ain't no nightclub that you can go to. Ain't no woman's house that you can go to no more. Ain't no friend's house where you can go to no more. And none of those things you have pleasure in anymore. Every door in the street, that means when all of your pleasurable moments are cut off. We remember the Creator during the days of our youth before all of our pleasurable moments are cut off. And when the pleasurable moments are cut off, he said, and when the sound of grinding is low, and he shall rise up early at the voice of birds, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. You see, when you start dealing with these things here, you're dealing with a man inability to really get a good night's sleep that he once used to have. If he goes to bed at 2 o'clock in the morning, he finds himself right back up at 5 o'clock in the morning. That the sound of a bird will interrupt your rest. When you're young, you can sleep, and you can sleep all day if you desire to. But when you get old, you can no longer enjoy the rest. Whether it's a bird waking you up, your sensitivity to a particular thing, or whether it's you being waken up out of your sleep because of the racking pain that's running through your body. And I'm telling you what I know, because the days are turning evil for every last one of us that's growing older. Sometimes I get woke up out of my sleep, not because I desire to wake up, but because something going on in my body that causes me not to be able to rest. God knows he created us. When we remember the Creator, we understand that these evil days are going to come, but they're not evil days in the sense that God had put evil on us. They're evil days in the sense that everything that's living must die. And if he bless us to get old, then the days are going to turn evil. He said also, when they shall be afraid of that which is high. When you get old, you're afraid of heights. When you get old, you're afraid, you're scared to death. You're scared to climb up on the smallest ladder, because you know that those strong men, which are your legs, don't really have the strength to support you anymore. You're afraid because the keepers of the house don't have the strength that they need to reach out and grab and support your body should you fall or have an accident. He said, when the days come that they shall be afraid of heights, because you know it only take one slip, a slip and fall could break another limb because of the condition of the body as it gets older. And the fears shall be in the way. And we're afraid of everything. When I was young, I was fearless. I wasn't scared of nothing, and I wasn't scared of nobody. And even though right now my mind still comes out and tell people things like, I ain't dodging no train wrecks, I don't care nothing about this. But you know what? In my real life, I see fear gripping me sometimes when I see the condition of the world, when I see the sensitivity of the young men, when I see how everybody out here is toting guns and looking for a reason to do somebody some harm, when I see the condition of brothers who are on the ground, but they'll look for somebody to rob, somebody to take advantage of. When I see the condition of the world, it causes you to have a fear. You're afraid. You find yourself asking the Most High, oh, Most High, only let me make it back home. You find yourself wanting to be home and in the house by dark. This is what the Bible is telling us is going to happen. And for every person that has reached a place of old age, they are standing right here. The days are evil. When the young man has slapped the old man in the mouth and then kick him on the ground. The days have turned evil when a woman can push an old man off the bus and he fall to his death. The days have turned evil when the old folks don't have nobody to go by there and see about them, don't have nobody to go by there and care about them. The days have turned evil when everything that the old folks work for and use their energy to attain, their children are standing around like vultures waiting on them to die. so that they can devour everything that they work for throughout the course of their life. The days have turned evil when there is nowhere for them to go, no people for them to be around, nothing for them to do, no joy, no happiness, nothing to look forward to. And then the people that you birth into this world don't even have the sense enough or the care to want to come and sit down and spend an hour with you, 2 hours with you. They'll come around and be there for 5 minutes, and then I got to go. I'm consumed with my life, but they ain't remembering the Creator tells us to honor thy father and thy mother and take care of the older people. We're in a generation that don't remember the Creator because they don't care anything about those that are growing old. Remember the Creator in the days of your youth. The time is coming, brother. The time is coming, sister, that you shall declare, I don't have no pleasure in these days anymore. The time is coming, brother. The time is coming, sister, that your hands gonna fail, your legs gonna fail, your ankles gonna fail, your eyes gonna fail, your teeth gonna fall out. The time is coming that God is coming to collect what rightfully belongs to him. And only those that have remembered the Creator in their youth will have a spirit that trusts in the Most High to do the things and fulfill the promises that he declared that he would do. Remember, the Creator in the days of youth, before the fears stand in the way, and the almond tree shall flourish, and the grasshopper shall be a burden, and your desire shall fail, because man goes to his long home, and mourners go about mourning in the streets. Or ever the silver cord be loosed, or the golden bowl broken, or the pitcher be broken at the fountain, or the wheel be broken at the cistern, then shall the dust return unto the earth as it was, and the spirit shall return to God who gave it. Vanities of vanities, said the preacher. Everything is meaningless. And moreover, because the preacher was wise, he still taught the people knowledge. Yeah, he gave good heed, and he sought out to set in order many proverbs. The preacher sought to find out acceptable words, and that which was written was upright, even the words of truth. When we start dealing with truth, baby, you're dealing with the preacher. That's what Ecclesiastes mean. It can be called Ecclesiastes, or you can just say, turn to the preacher. It's the book of the preacher who went on a mission to seek out, to write acceptable words, to write things that have truth as their foundation. And one of the greatest things that the preacher ever penned, he said, when I started, he said, people thought I was backslidden, but I wasn't backslidden. I did it on purpose. He said, I sought out to be wise, to know wisdom and foolishness, to know madness and folly, to know what it all meant. He said, I sought out, so I drank as much wine as I could drink. I chased as many women as I could drink. I listened to as much music as I could listen to. I built as many houses that I could live in. I drove many chariots as I could buy. He said, I did all those things. I helped many people as I could, and I did to an enemy what an enemy was supposed to receive. He said, I withheld nothing in this life that was good for me, so that I could know what what would become acceptable words of truth to give knowledge to people. He said, I went through these things that I might know what things were good for a man to do while he lived his life up under the sun. I came to a place to where I even began to hate life, because I said, what kind of man would live his whole life, heap up all these things because his labor, go to work every day, and then die and don't know where his work is going to go, into the hands of another man, whether he'll be a wise man or whether he'll be a fool. Why should a fool put his hands on everything that I have worked hard for? He came back to his senses and he declared, so therefore I hated life. He said, I found out that mirth was just as crazy. What is happiness? What is laughter? It is madness. What makes it happen? Because it don't add nothing to my life. For a moment I may laugh, and then the next minute I'm crying, but I find out that I'm still in the same condition. I came to this conclusion: remember my Creator in the days of my youth, because as I got older, my days begin to turn evil. As I see my children run against me, as I see the women in my life turn their back on me, as I see the money that I once had lost, as I see the things that I used to be able to do was gone, as I see my kingdom split down in two and people turned against me, he said, I come to this conclusion to remember the Creator in the days of your youth, before these days turn evil. That was acceptable words that the preacher sought out to write. And even though the preacher came to the understanding, he declared, vanity of vanity, all is vanity. Everything is a vexation of the spirit. What he was saying is that everything was meaningless. Because how did a wise man die? He dies the exact same way as the fool died. So what's the purpose of me living a good life? What's the purpose of me remembering my Creator? At some point, his mind or God or his spirit came in and made him to understand what the purpose of remembering his Creator was. That when you remember your Creator, you have a greater comprehension of how you should live your life. Because the one thing that you can count on is he who governs the wind and he who rules the wave. He will not sleep nor slumber. He will bring to fruition every promise that he ever made us. He says, so I come to this conclusion, to remember your Creator while you have strength to remember him. Because the time gonna come, baby, where you're gonna get old. And we make these videos even for my children the same way. I'm getting old. Ain't no guarantee that I'm gonna be here tomorrow. You better remember the Creator now while you have an opportunity. One day daddy gonna be gone. One day mama gonna be gone. One day aunties and uncles and grandmas. One day everybody gonna be gone. You'll be left here alone all by yourself. And the only thing you'll have to get you through the vicissitudes of this world, through rising and falling, is what you have done for the Most High. Shalom, son. Shalom, Donnell Hargrove. Brother, sister, we're going to get old. We're going to get old. And even though I just lost my partner, I don't have no qualms about him. I don't have to grieve long. Oh yeah, I can cry because I miss him, but I don't have to grieve long because I know that he remembered the Creator in the days of his youth. I remember we go to church. I remember we read the Bible. And all the way until this day, he'll call me out the clear blue, or every other day he'll call me, asking me about this scripture, want to talk about that scripture. I know my situation ain't right. I know my life ain't all the way in order, but I'm still a praying man. I still believe in Jesus. I still believe that I'm the Lord's child. And he exemplified that with his life. Exemplified that with his life and how he treated people. And we best know what's most important. Because somebody out here is wasting all of their youth, spinning their wheels, trying to attain physical things which are slowly deteriorating, trying to live a good life in a world that's falling apart when God said, we try to live a life in a world that's falling apart. And God give us all these things to enjoy. But how can you enjoy this life and all these things that God had given without him? That's a question that's to be pondered. How is it that we have a world full of people that God created, in a world that God created, amongst all the things that God created, and everybody is seeking to enjoy all of the things that God created, but do not want to remember him? How would you feel, brother, if you have done everything in the world that you can do for your children, and they want everything that you got, want your houses, want your cars, want your money, want everything you got, but they don't want to have nothing to do with you? How do you think you will feel? If you feel that way, imagine what the Most High feel. He said, I give him a house, I give him a car, I've given him the job, I've given him children, I give him a wife that love him, I give him family, and I give him friends. Howbeit that I can do all of these things for them, and they ain't even got the time to fall down on their face and tell me how lovely I am, how bad I am, how thankful that they are. They ain't even got the time to remember that if it was not for me, you wouldn't have breath in your body. You wouldn't have eyes to see, ears to hear, legs to walk. You wouldn't have food to eat, clothes on your back, a roof to cover your shame. He said, how can I do all that for my people? And they can't even stop and take the time and lift up holy hands and shout hallelujah to the King of glory. How can they do it? You tell me. Let me end the video right there.